One day off, and now we're back. More football. Day 4 of training camp. It was a fun one, Rube.
You hate those days off, don't you?
It was good. I got to rest up a little bit, and I was ready to get back out there today.
Get your second win.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Before we get too far into this pod, I want to tell everyone, if you're coming to the public practice on Thursday night, get there a little early. Come out and see us. We'll be at the Pepsi Plaza at 4:45, a live Q&A. I'll be kind of moderating. Rube and Barrett will be there. We'll all be answering questions. And if you can't get there, it'll be streaming live. So it should be a lot of fun. We've done this the last few years, and it seems to go really well.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody out there. And, be a good time.
It will be. We have a lot to get to today. We have a bunch of practice observations, talk to Nick Sirianni before practice, a bunch of players after. We have some questions through the email that we'll answer at the end. But Rube, we actually have some real news to talk about, something that could be significant down the line. Tyler Steen, like we mentioned on Saturday, the right guard, left with an injury. It's an ankle injury. It's not serious. He'll be back hopefully within a few days. But the significant part of this was Mekhi Becton today was the right guard in his place. It kind of opens the door for that competition.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like, they've been talking up Mekhi Becton since he got here, I believe on April 29th, right at the end of April. They've been talking him up, how good he looks, how versatile he is, how willing he is to try new position, being guard, which he had never played before, and kind of resisted with the Jets. And this is like the first chance to kind of show that they still feel that way. And when Steen went down, there was a bunch of different ways they could go there. You could put Max Sharping in there, who's played a lot of games at guard. You got Matt Hennessy, who's played left guard, but you've got Darian
Kennard,
who got some reps on Thursday at right guard.
Saturday.
What's today?
Today's Monday. Yeah.
Saturday. Kennard he's been around, a second-year guy from Kentucky, I believe. So they had a lot of options. So the fact that Becton immediately went in there tells you that it's not just a kind of theoretical guard tackle guy. He's a guard tackle guy, and he was in there. And it didn't take long for them to feel comfortable with him as a guard. And he's not a prototypical sized guard, especially height wise, but they seem to like him. And today was the first real chance that they've had to show us that.
Yeah, and I think it opens up the legitimate possibility that he's the opening day right guard. That was always in the back of our mind. We talked about it during the spring. Like, there's a competition. The biggest threat to Tyler Steen is Mekhi Becton, but it was kind of just an idea at that point. This kind of worked out to see him at right guard, and they already got a good look at him at left guard because Landon Dickerson missed the first couple of days. So you're seeing him at guard, and you're thinking okay, he's not at right guard, but we can kind of judge how he's playing the position. But now you get a chance to actually see him at right guard. And I thought it was even more noteworthy because Lane Johnson missed practice today. He has a minor toe injury. He'll be back within a few days, they say. So nothing serious there. But it would have been very easy for the Eagles to say, Mekhi Becton, you've played tackle, you're a backup, get in there at right tackle for Lane Johnson. They didn't do that.
No, he's practicing now with the first team at a position he's never played in the NFL, and that he hadn't practiced at until spring. So and they had a lot of options at right guard. There's certainly, if they put Becton at right tackle today, they had plenty of guys that could have plugged in at right guard and been okay. So I think it's really revealing. And, there's a school of thought that they might ideally want Becton to be the backup at 4 spots and use other guys, depending on how much time you have to get through. But, they certainly see him. And look, I think Steen's hold on right guard is tenuous to begin with. They wanted to give him the first crack at it, but it's almost like they couldn't wait to nobody wanted Steen to get hurt, but it really gave him an opportunity to get a guy in there who they want to get in there. And if I had to handicap it now, I'd say Becton's more likely to start opening day.
That's where I was going. I was going to ask you to give me a percentage on it. Do you think it's still pretty close?
I think it might be up around 70 now.
Wow,
Yeah.
70% from Mekhi Becton.
65 to 70.
Wow, that's higher than I would say.
Yeah.
Just because it's so early,
Yeah.
and we haven't even seen him next to Lane Johnson yet,
Right.
which is a big part of this.
It's just they seem so eager to just get him in there.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there's a thought that Mekhi Becton could be the backup at 4 spots. I mean, Tyler Steen could be the backup at 4 spots. If Becton's just better, then yeah, you'd rather have him starting. And,
yeah.
Now the tricky part about this is, Becton's on a 1-year deal. Tyler Steen could theoretically grow into this position. This could be his position long term. So, do you worry about sacrificing long term for maybe a minimal upgrade short term?
Yeah, I think at some point you'll see him sign an extension if it looks like this
Becton?
is
Oh, I don't know. If I'm Becton, I might want to play this out.
Yeah, but Howie has a way of getting guys signed who he wants to get signed. And if it goes well, I'm not saying in the next couple of weeks, but if he starts at right guard and it's going well and they're 3-1 and the offense is rolling and he's playing well, Howie has a way of getting guys signed. And if he doesn't want to lose somebody, yeah, I think he'll make that happen. But it's not a lock. And if you're Becton, you're thinking, now I have tackle reps, I have guard reps, my value is going up. He's still only, I think he just turned 26.
Yeah, he's young.
He's a young guy. So maybe he'll have some value. Either way, Howie got him for just about nothing. I mean, there's a guy that nobody wanted. He was on a street for quite a while when free agency started. Nobody wanted this guy. They would take him now. This is just it's great front office work by Howie.
Yeah, it was a good job by the pro scouting department too. And I think it's trust in Jeff Stoutland. And we kind of roll our eyes a little bit about the culture stuff, but you're entering an offensive line room with some established starters, guys whose voice carries some weight, especially with Lane in there. So I think that matters too. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think it's rolling toward Mekhi Becton at right guard.
What's your number? You said 70 is probably a little high.
That's high for me right now. Just because I think there is incentive to want to play Tyler Steen because he's
sure
a draft pick.
Yeah, all things being equal.
Yeah, you'd kind of prefer to play him. I'd go 55, 60.
Okay.
Something like that. I'm just a little below. I think, yeah, I'm kind of more in on Becton than Steen right now. But we have a lot. Pads haven't even come on yet.
And that's the thing. When you're evaluating offensive linemen, I mean, haven't worn pads yet. And they will tomorrow, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Steen won't be there. So with every day that Becton's out there, that number could go up.
Or it could go down.
It could go down. I have a feeling it'll go up.
Yeah.
I think they might have gotten one here. Again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but all things are pointing in the right direction with Becton.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, you can say that, but there's also a reason things didn't really work out with the Jets.
Sure.
Multiple reasons.
Yeah.
It is fascinating because he's so big. He's enormous. If they have him and Landon Dickerson starting, they're going to have the 2 biggest guards in the NFL.
Probably the biggest guard combo ever.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would think so. Guys are big nowadays.
I mean, you have Becton and anybody might be the biggest combo ever, but it'll be interesting to watch. And there are other guys with experience and other guys who've played guard, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get into the other offensive line combinations in a bit, but to me, that was the most newsworthy thing probably of camp so far.
Yeah. I would agree.
Okay. I can't wait to see what happens there.
Yeah, and I know some people don't get all excited about right guard, but
yeah, I love that we're leading the podcast with deep insight into right guard. We'll talk about the backup right guard today, but there aren't many positions on the offense that are up for grabs.
Right.
Really only 2. I mean, it's wide receiver 3, and I guess you could say tight end 2. It seems like it's kind of Grant Calcaterra right now, and
only
maybe
one
right guard.
Only one starting spot if you're in base, I guess. Or
what's base?
I don't know. If you have one tight end and 3 receivers, whatever. But certainly, I mean, those are interesting too. But this to me is, I guess it's extra interesting just because of Becton's history, where he was drafted, how things went bad with the Jets. Eagles want Steen to make an effort at that spot to have a shot. I don't know. There's a lot of tentacles.
What
tendrils? I don't know what I was saying. There's a lot of different aspects to the whole thing. So yeah, be interesting when Steen gets back. See what happens.
It's amazing because the offensive line has been so solid for so many years, but ever since Brandon Brooks got hurt, that right guard spot's been kind of a rotating door, and they haven't had bad play, but it hasn't been solid, right? So I think the best outcome would be Tyler Steen's in there, and he's the long-term answer at that position, but I don't know how realistic that is right now.
Do you know how many right guards the Eagles have used since Jason Kelce's first NFL start, which would have been opening day 2011?
I mean, I don't know. I could probably sit here and figure it out, but that would not be very enjoyable for the listeners.
19.
Okay. But it's been a lot even since that Brooks injury.
Yeah, that's
like he's obviously like the best one they've had.
Sure.
But since then, it's kind of been just everyone.
Yeah. They haven't really settled. There's been a lot of Suas and all kinds of Andrew Gardner, like Jake Scott. Been a lot of people.
Jake Scott, what a pull.
Yeah.
How about my pull today? We're talking about Kentucky. I'm like, who's that Kentucky corner? I was like, oh, Trevard Lindley.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
I hate that that's the stuff I remember. Like, I wish I could like pick and choose what my memory could be used for, but it's just like cornerbacks who flamed out in the early 2010s.
And again, he had that one interception, unless I'm dreaming it. He had an interception in 2010. I had the year right. If I remember, it saved a game or clinched a game. 2010 is the only time he played. His fourth round pick. Only played a handful of games. He had an interception against the Niners that clinched a 27-24 win at Candlestick. That's when Candlestick. Now, who did he pick off? Alex Smith.
Wow.
Yeah. Fourth quarter. So the Eagles are up 27-24. The Niners have a 3rd and 10 inside Eagles territory. Alex Smith throws deep to Michael Crabtree at the 24. Lindley picks it off and returns it 8 yards. Why he's returning it in that situation, I don't know. There's only 40 seconds left.
He was excited.
But Trevard Lindley, yeah.
We are now 13 minutes into this podcast.
And we've talked about Trevard Lindley more than Jalen Hurts.
And we've talked about like right guard and Trevard Lindley.
That's right.
So let's get to it a little bit deeper today. In general, I thought this was the first day the defense won, quote unquote won. I thought they had a better day than the offense. And the offense set the bar so high those first 3 days.
Yeah.
Like they were really good. I thought they took a little step back today, which is like there's going to be ebbs and flows.
Offense still did some good things.
Did some good things.
Yeah.
I thought the defense got a lot of pressure. Now you're without Lane Johnson today and maybe without 2 starters on the offensive line. But I thought that the defensive line really got after them today. I thought Jalen had he had that one overthrow. There were just some plays that were a little off today.
Well, there was actually a drop.
There was a drop.
Tyrion, whatever his name is, Tyrion Price Davis had a drop.
Davis Price.
Got to learn the bottom of the roster. But yeah, I thought it was even. I thought it was pretty even. I thought the defense did some good things, though. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think it was even. No, I thought this was a defense day, especially when I went through the observations, like who made plays. Most of them were defensive players.
All right, well, let's go through it.
Okay. Well, first off, we mentioned no Lane Johnson, no Tyler Steen. Oren Burks still out.
A few days now.
Yeah, he got hurt on the first day of practice.
Day. Yeah.
Not ideal. Saquon Barkley out for a personal reason. Don't know more on that, but not an injury. And Brett Toth was back at practice. He missed the first 3 practices with a hamstring injury.
Brett Toth. We'll be sitting here talking about Brett. I think Brett Toth was Trevard Lindley's teammate. That's how long he's been here.
And Trevor Keegan left practice early. So hopefully we'll find out more about that tomorrow.
Doubt it.
After the first team offensive line, which we mentioned, I thought this was an interesting switch. Dylan McMahon was the second team center, and they moved Matt Hennessy to second team right guard. Now, obviously, that you had to mix and match a lot of different things with a couple of players out, but they could have left Dylan McMahon as a third team center, Matt Hennessy, and they could have had like Max Sharping at second team right guard. I thought it was telling that they went with this configuration. And to me, it means one of two things. Either Dylan McMahon has overtaken Matt Hennessy as the backup center, or they want to see Matt Hennessy at right guard because they think that's a position he could play.
Yeah, and he hasn't played right guard. He was basically a center and an occasional left guard with the Falcons. I think that scenario is probably a little more likely, but I also feel like they don't love Matt Hennessy.
I think signing Max Sharping told me that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Although Hennessy's with the second team and Sharping's with the third team today.
Yeah, but Sharping had been
guard.
working at tackle too.
Right.
So like they're getting him work at different positions.
Right. It could be a little both, but you know, the way Stout works is a mystery to a lot of people. But I think it's a good sign for Dylan McMahon. It's encouraging for him.
I agree with that. And he's a guy that, like, you know, he's kind of fighting to make the roster. I think they'd like to keep him, but a day 3 pick is never a sure thing in those late rounds. And they have so many offensive linemen that he does need to earn a spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's all I had offensively. Without Saquon, Kenny Gainwell was out there first, but Will Shipley got a good bit of the work too. And we'll talk about him in a little bit.
Yes, we will.
Defensive depth chart stuff. Keely Ringo is now ahead of Isaiah Rodgers.
Seems that way.
This is a third practice in a row he's gotten the first team work. Now they're rotating Isaiah Rodgers in, and he's even like some periods he'll be out there as the starter, but I think it kind of tells you a lot that Keely's getting the first snap of the day.
And he's been really good.
He looks solid.
He looks fast and fluid and always in position, active. Pads go on tomorrow, so it'll be fun to see. But yeah,
is that your read on it?
Yeah, I think when you see multiple days with the same guy getting the first crack at that's what it tells you. I'm
a little surprised they're doing it this way. I thought it was me back and forth for a while,
and it still might. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. But as of now, sitting here on July, whatever the heck it is, 29th, I don't even know. It looks that way, mm-hmm. and I don't think Isaiah Rodgers has been bad.
Oh no, I thought he had the play of the day today. Honestly,
today, yeah, he had a great play, but that diving breakup. But I think it's more Ringo's been really good, mm-hmm. and we're still seeing a lot of combinations, and the Cooper to Gene injuries kind of opened up some different possibilities.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things I wanted to talk about was Quinyon Mitchell was the first guy to get nickel reps today.
Right,
that's been Avonte Maddox through the first 3 days.
Right.
So I think there's a good chance Quinyon Mitchell can earn that nickel job. On Saturday, we saw him out there as kind of the dime linebacker, the extra defensive back, but today he was out there in the nickel package.
Yeah, he was. Interesting. I mean, the secondary, and whatever they come up with, they're going to have guys who can play. Mm-hmm. And that's different than it has been.
Yeah, so cornerback is like kind of changed day to day. I feel like linebacker's been pretty consistent. It's Devin White and Zach Bond out there first, but then they mix and match. Nakobe Dean gets first team reps sometimes with White, sometimes with Bond, sometimes it's Bond, and they're just mixing every different combination they can figure out of those 3 guys, and then a little bit of Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
A little bit, snap here, snap there.
Who looks good, by the way.
He does.
He's fast.
Yeah, he is. He's quicker than his dad. Oh. That wasn't his dad's thing, but his dad was also 260.
Yeah, if you're going like speed per like pound.
Speed per pound. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting analytic. We talked to, were you in with Zach Bond when he talked to
No,
them?
I wasn't.
It was hard. They had like multiple guys talking. We couldn't get to everybody. Nakobe seems like he's in a good place, and we'll get to the interview parts later, but I still think it's favoring Zach Bond just because I feel like if they really liked where Nakobe was, he'd be getting the reps. Zach Bond's here on a 1-year deal. He's just, I don't know, but they must really like him. So we'll see what happens there.
I've seen some good signs from Nakobe though.
Yeah. I don't think he's been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't that was the one thing with him in previous years, not a big, like splashy practice player, but he looks good. Like they're letting him blitz a little bit. And that was something he was really good at Georgia.
Right.
And the previous defensive coordinators haven't really given him that opportunity. Vic Fangio's given him that chance.
Yeah. Nakobe said,
was he asked about blitzing at all?
I don't believe he was specifically asked about blitzing, but he did say he's looking forward to pads going on Tuesday. He said shorts and shirts are cute, but it's not football. So we'll see. I like his attitude. So we'll see. That one could go on for a while.
Yeah, I think it could.
We agree, Devin White. It's not going to be.
I think Devin White's one of them. Yeah. I think I'm still a little bit more bullish on Nakobe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm team Zach Bond only by that my one kind of little piece of flawed logic, but I think Nakobe kind of deserves. I don't know if anyone deserves anything, but I just like to see him in there and get a little run. We've never seen a healthy Nakobe Dean. We've never seen him.
Yeah. Hopefully we do. That's all I had for depth chart stuff. I thought Will Shipley looked great catching the football today.
It looked incredible.
Yeah. Just really athletic, high pointing the football. It was that one wheel route in 7-on-7s, a pass from Jalen Hurts, perfectly in stride, but Will went up and got it, which I like to see. Yeah. That's like a receiver, not a running back. Sometimes running backs are kind of fighting the football a little bit. This didn't look like that. This was smooth. He went up and just snagged it. And it wasn't his only catch. I thought it was an area where he excelled today.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I said. I'm trying to remember who was covering him on that one. It was a linebacker, but I scribbled it down. But anyway, I said exactly what you just said. I said, that's not a running back making that catch. I mean, he had his body control. I mean, just being there, just running the route and being under that was a great ball too. But
all timing on those wheels.
I mean, Julian Okwara, I think, right? I think it was Julian Okwara, I believe, was covering him. And I think Jalen got him back-to-back plays, I think.
Yeah, the other one was on the right sideline. And that was a play where Devin White closed quickly and kind of hit him a little bit.
Yeah.
Which was fun. It was to me, it was a good reminder that the pads are coming on soon. And
yeah,
I think everyone's kind of eager for that at this point.
Yeah. But Shipley, I mean, for a rookie running back to make that play and then hang on to the ball when he hits the ground and come up holding the ball. I mean, whoa, that was a wow play. Because this is a rookie mid-round pick who's kind of penciled in as the third running back. But if he makes plays like that, he's going to play. He might not get a ton of carries, but I can see him being a factor in I mean, most running backs aren't even running that route. They're not even out there 20. How many yards down the field was he? 20 yards down the field. I was eye-opening. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't his only nice catch of the day either.
No, he looked really good. And it's funny because we've spent so much time the last week talking about catches from the running backs, and it could all be moot. I mean, they just might not throw to them that much.
Yeah.
Very possible. We've been fooled before by the assurance that they're going to throw to the running backs, and it just doesn't happen. So I'll take that with a grain of salt, but just the play itself was very good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Gainwell looks really good too, I think. I think he's had, especially a day like today when Saquon's not there. I think they really like Kenny Gainwell. I think he's going to have a role, significant role.
Okay. Yeah. We mentioned the Isaiah Rodgers play. Let's talk about it. It was a deep ball from Kenny Pickett. I thought it was a good ball. Joseph Ngata was open. Joseph Ngata today had 2 catches stolen from him.
He did.
But this one was a perfect deep ball. He's thinking, this is 6, baby. I got it. It's in my hands just about. And he did everything right. Nothing anyone could have done. Isaiah Rodgers just closed on it. Diving past breakup. Timed it perfectly. Had the closing speed to get there. It was a free play, by the way.
Yeah.
Defensive lineman jumped. But that's a touchdown, right? So he still took a touchdown off the board.
True. And I'm sure my reaction the instant he made the play was the same as yours. This is a guy who just missed a year.
Yeah.
And he's doing that. whatever he did, and I mean, he's told us like how he kind of stayed engaged and how he modeled his day on what he would be doing. I really like that. He said he modeled his day because he was down in Florida on his own. He couldn't even be in the facility. But what are we doing today? We're doing cardio and we're going to lift and then, and then practice. He just replicated the day so he would stay engaged. And whatever he did, he does not look like a guy who missed a year. It's really amazing. And whatever they get out of him, whether he's a starter, backup, or trade fodder, I mean, Howie just stole him, got him for nothing.
Yeah, it's a move that like other GMs should have made.
Yeah, it's not like I know. Like, what did he do? He made a couple bets, like, And,
yeah, it's not like there was like a criminal case against him.
No, there was nothing. It was if it's something that if he did 200 feet away from where he did it, it would have been fine. But he was in the facility. Yeah. Well, I don't know for
would have gotten caught.
Yeah, but I mean, gambling houses are the NFL's biggest sponsor. That's where he made bets. Like, it was wrong. He shouldn't have done it. But it's not like if I'm a GM, I'm like, oh, we can't bring him in. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, it's not like the bad egg theory.
No.
Yeah.
No. So,
it's the bad bet theory.
He's been accountable. He's never made excuses. It's Howie's got a bunch of these moves, whether it's Mulata. I mean, there's been just moves that you're like, just kind of off the beaten track moves, and
with no downside.
No downside, and they don't all pay off. Certainly,
you don't expect them to.
Yeah, but if 10% do, helping your team.
Yeah. The other one that got stolen from Joseph Zangaro was in the middle of the field. James Bradbury. Yes. We've seen him play, and like that's all we haven't. He looks okay out there. We haven't seen bad plays or good plays. Today we saw a good play. He drove on a football, timed it perfectly, and broke up a pass in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
showed a little enthusiasm after. It was good to see him like make a play and be able to celebrate it. It's been a weird week, I'm sure, for him.
It's been a weird few months.
Yeah.
I mean, and by the way, good for him. He talked to the media the other day. I give him credit for that. Be easy to hide. He knows he didn't play well last year, but this is a guy who was a second team All-Pro 2 years ago, and he's out there, new position, unsure of his future. I just give him credit for getting to where he is now. He's learning safety, and he's learning it well enough to look okay in practice. And
this is I think this is a transferable skill. What we saw on this exact play, it's like that was what Bradbury was good at, like playing off coverage, breaking on the football, and that was kind of what we saw on this play. It was just in the middle of the field.
Yeah, it was good to see.
There are a lot of other elements to safety that we got to see if he can do, and I'm still very skeptical that he's going to be on the roster. But while he's here, might as well make some plays.
Yeah,
thought Nolan Smith had some splashy plays today. There was one where there was a zone read and Jalen just cooked him. And I go, bad Nolan play, wrote it down. Then right after that, I think it was the next period, back-to-back pressures on Hurts. They might have been sacks, might not have been, tough to tell in practice, but beats Fred Johnson twice. And what impressed me was he beat him with an outside move on back-to-back plays, beat him with an outside move, set him up, and then the next time went inside on him with a first step outside, which shows he's kind of getting it. He's putting it together a little bit more. I thought it was a good sign.
Yeah, that's what you look for, a guy who can set up his next move with this move, and it's something good ones do, and that was good to see. I mean, he looks fine. I still don't know what they're going to get out of him. At least the shoulder's not bothering him, but still a little skeptical about Nolan Smith. We'll see.
Yeah, I think he's got to kind of show it because he looked really good in training camp last year.
Right.
So, it's like
look great.
You don't want to get fooled again.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll both be over at one-on-one drills tomorrow, Tuesday, with pads.
Yeah.
It's always a highlight.
That's part of training camp practices.
It's fun. So Nolan's the guy we're going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah. It's funny. They haven't done many receiver DB one-on-ones. I guess they're just going to wait until the pads go on that way.
One day they did it.
Just one to Saturday.
Yeah.
I guess they're waiting so that way they can go ahead and maybe do some of those while they do offense, defense,
makes sense.
Defensive line.
Yeah. And that's always a highlight is those one-on-ones.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's just about all I had. Reed Blankenship made a nice play in the backfield. It would have been a tackle for loss on Hurts on a read option. That's the one thing about Blankenship is like his instincts are really good. He's not like the biggest or fastest guy, but he's kind of always where he's supposed to be.
And that's why, I mean, he's a guy who he's got 4 interceptions in 21 games, not including games he didn't play on defense or played 1 snap. But, I mean, that's a lot of interceptions for an undrafted new guy, beginning of his career. And I think that's going to help him hang on to that job. I mean, we'll see how long it is till Sidney's healthy and where he is and how that goes. But, Reed seemed, we talk about Nakobe. Can Nakobe's instincts overcome maybe not having great speed and great size? I think the same thing's true with Reed, and we've seen that it can. Like his instincts are so good, and he's so smart and understands the game so much that he's able to overcome measurables that ended up having him undrafted.
Yeah. You saw me get my stupid observation of the day,
and I called it.
You did. Well, you saw me writing something.
Oh, I knew before you started writing it was going to be your stupid observation.
And I've noticed this before.
We were still an hour away from practice.
Yeah, but the specialists every day bring out a soccer ball, which kind of makes sense. They kick footballs, so they kick soccer balls. And Braden Mann's kicking around a little bit. And Jake Elliott, beautiful outlet pass up the sideline to Michael Clay, who has some – I mean, he's fast.
Michael Clay might be the fastest guy in the team.
I doubt that, but he's got wheels.
He is quick.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. And I thought he really showed it going after that ball from Jake. I was actually talking to Aaron Moorhead after practice about like what coaches are in the best shape. And he was just saying, like if you get to training camp as a coach and you're not in shape, like you're going to really feel it. Like everyone talks about the players being in shape. He says, we all like have bets among ourselves about losing weight and who can be the fastest. And
yeah, I mean, they get workouts in like on the field. Like you think about like Aaron Moorhead, he's playing DB sometimes. Yeah. He's like, they'll have like the boxing glove on a stick.
Yeah.
Like they're doing active stuff.
Sounds like an appetizer. But yeah, he's, I said, well, I don't think anybody's in better shape than Clay. And he's like, oh yeah, we're all just trying to get where he is.
He's also younger than
that's what Aaron said also. Yeah, he's younger than us.
Aaron's like, I did play in the NFL.
Yes, he did. But yeah, those guys get a workout. But Clay's quick. How many guys on the roster could beat Michael Clay in 100?
In 100? A distance that we don't really use in football at all.
Yeah, but 40's. I think he's got long speed. I'm curious what his 40 would be. Anyway, that's a stupid question. So let's just skip that.
All right. Well, let's skip that. We'll take a break and we'll come back on the other side.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Celebrity cook Steve Martorano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martorano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations at Martorano's Prime on Open Table.
There was a really funny moment in Nick Sirianni's press conference today where he was asked about the receivers beyond AJ and Devontae. And he started it by saying, I'm not going to talk about everyone. But then he mentioned Paris Campbell. So then he mentioned John Ross. And then you see it start to trigger in his head. And he goes, oh, and like, the rookie Johnny Wilson. Then before he knows, he's like, well, I got to mention everyone. So he's like clearing out the depth chart. And he's like, and, Shaq Davis.
He did.
He got all the way down to Shaq 10-minute answer.
And Bobby Hebert, what's his name? Griffin Hebert. He mentioned him. Quite a nice catch today, by the way. Yeah, that was good.
It was just a funny moment because like I could see it in his head. He was like, oh man, now I got to mention everyone.
Yeah, you can't mention 15 and leave out 2.
Yeah.
And I think he realized that because if he did, everybody'd be blogging about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else do you take from Nick Sirianni today?
Well, it's something I mentioned in my obs on Sunday, there's definitely more of a emphasis on conditioning. You can see it, just the way they're finishing drills, finishing plays, guys running. And he made the connection between, and it's not just about being in shape. It's about, you can't play at your best if you're not at your best, in your best shape. And I think when we all kind of put together our theories about what went wrong with the collapse, losing 6 of their last 7, I'm not sure conditioning was something that was the first thing I thought of. I think guys were slow just because they were bad and they were old and they just weren't very good. But I think this emphasis kind of tells you that when they looked at what went wrong in the last 7 games, that the team was out of shape. And not just Jordan Davis, but the team as in general was. And I think this is a direct kind of result of that.
Maybe. To me, it feels a little bit like grasping at straws, trying to figure out what went wrong. I don't know if like your conditioning in December is a product of what you're doing now.
Well,
it leads to it, I'm sure. But
it might not be that much of a cause and effect, but I think if you have them thinking about it and have them making it a priority, then you're just hoping they stick with it.
Yeah. And I guess they're thinking that like, it can't hurt. Like, we should be in better shape.
Yeah.
We talked about this with Jordan Davis. Like, being out of shape doesn't mean you're just like bent over after a play or not giving full effort. Like, sometimes it means your technique slips a little bit because you're not doing the little things anymore. You're taking these little shortcuts. And sometimes those things are tougher to see. I think like if a guy's like really out of shape, you're going to know, like, it's pretty obvious, but some of those little things kind of fly under the radar.
Yeah.
And I think that there's definitely been an added emphasis on it. I think the one thing we've really seen, there's like one period of practice each day where they're making these like hockey line changes, which wreaks havoc on my notes, trying to keep up with like, all right, first team offense, third team defense now. But you can see why they're doing it. They want to get one fresh play and they want that offense to go against fresh bodies back to back to back to back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's different. It's definitely.
He actually said he got it from his buddy who's a wrestling coach.
No, he was
a wrestler?
A wrestler in high school, and he's a football coach now.
Okay.
He didn't say where, but he said his friend. I'm sure you'll try to call him. But then he said a couple of the other assistants have experience with similar things. Players seem to like it. I mean, there's a drill where everybody, after each snap, I think they did it one day last week, they all just sprinted to the end zone. All 22 guys on the field just dashed to the end zone. And that stuff can't hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Not going to solve all your problems, but yeah.
You're still going to be better if you don't have Shaq Leonard and Bradley Roby and Kevin Byard.
A lot of strays
Zach
being tossed around right now.
That's just truth.
Shaq Leonard was like, I was enjoying this podcast until right then.
Sorry, Shaq.
You got anything else from Nick?
Not from Nick, no.
Yeah, I don't think so. After practice, had a chance to talk to Josh Sweat for the first time since a pretty tumultuous offseason. Like, we all thought he was going to get traded. Then he restructures his contract, changes his number, and he's back.
He's playing safety now.
He's not playing safety, but his outlook on the whole thing was like, I tried not to pay attention to it all because like I knew I couldn't control that. I let my agent handle the contract stuff. He was like, I want to prove myself. So I like the outlook, but he has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
And he said 19, he's like, he just wanted a kind of a fresh start. He wanted 15, and then he found out he couldn't have 15. He wore 9, I believe, in high school. Can't wear 9.
Not here.
Not here. So he was actually really
Not
funny
giving Rodney Pete's
about the 15. He's like, they retired in like 1950. Bring that thing back.
Yeah. It's a big year for Josh Sweat, contract year. The way last year ended, 8 straight games without a sack. I mean, that's like Victor Abin-Miri type production. So, man, strays everywhere. I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll have a good year.
I think we have enough on Josh Sweat to think he'll be okay.
Yeah. They sure need him to.
But then again, like, no one traded for him.
No.
The Eagles made it very clear that he was available in a trade and nothing materialized. So maybe the rest of the league doesn't think it.
I mean, he's a guy who's been a Pro Bowler. He's had a double-digit sack season, and he's young. What is he, 27?
Yep.
So, to me, he would have some value. Wouldn't send the Eagles a 2 for him, but I'm surprised there wasn't more interest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the Eagles were like happy to keep either him or Reddick. I think it'd be really. I know that there was talk that they would trade both of them. I think that'd put them in a really tough position.
Yeah.
You need one of those guys to start.
If you felt a little better about Nolan Smith, if he had a better rookie year, but
yeah, you don't know.
Him.
Yeah, and then you'd be really light in the depth department. So, yeah, it's a big year for Josh Sweat because he's never really like had to play for a contract like this.
Right.
He got the his big extension came before his 4th season started,
right.
or during that season.
Yeah,
during the season.
It's that position. Like I don't know what they have. I mean, Bryce Huff's a question mark. He had one year of production. Nolan Smith's a question mark. He had no years of production. BG, 12 snaps a game maybe. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah. Who else did you talk to today?
Talked to Landon Dickerson. Talked to Avonte Maddox.
Oh, Landon Dickerson. Let's get to the bottom of this. The toe laceration. Was it or was it not a slip and slide injury?
So he says it wasn't. He said, I know all the rumors out there. You know how he is. He said he actually stepped on something in his backyard. So he claims it was not a slip and slide.
Okay.
He also said I have no reason to lie about it.
I don't know. He might have a reason to lie about it. I don't
think so, but he's fine now. He was pretty interesting talking about Cam Jurgens and just how he's wired to be able to. It's not an easy thing to replace a Hall of Famer. It's an all-time great, and just how well he's wired to do that. And he said, he's going to be hearing that, for years. He's going to be hearing the guy who replaced Jason Kelce. He said he's going to be hearing it from you guys, the media. I know you're writing it, and he said, but he's going to be fine. He's just going to be himself. He knows how to do that, and he knows he's not Jason Kelce, and he's got the right mentality for it. I kind of agree. I kind of think it looks that way.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a farm kid from Nebraska who's going to go out there and play. I think he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, but I think that Cam, we've kind of talked about like Macho Harris, B-Dog, right? Like you're replacing a legend that you don't know, whereas like Cam knows Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
I think it's a much different dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe in 10 years he'll be hosting a podcast, world's most popular podcast.
Does he have a brother?
I don't know. He might not need it. He can just do it by himself.
Talk to Nolan Smith a little bit. This is very funny. He went to LA to train, and he said he went to LA because he knows he doesn't fit in LA, and he wanted to be uncomfortable, and he wanted to basically just focus on getting better, which I thought was funny. He thinks because he's like a Southerner, he doesn't fit in LA.
That's weird. That sounds like Nolan.
Yeah. He's a little oddball football guy.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
He said he went out to eat, and he got like a $34 smoothie, and he was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done here.
There was a funny moment during Cam Jurgens' chat with the media where
Cam or Landon?
Landon. I'm sorry, I did that twice now. Landon. He was asked what to my ear sounded like Mike Shanahan and his mother have always said, and there was a question about NFL offenses in relation to Vic Fangio. And Landon was like, what? And to me, it sounded like he's asking like Mike Shanahan's mother. And he said, Mike Shanahan's mother has always said, well, what he was saying was he was asking Mike Shanahan and others.
Yeah.
And when he was done, I said, Landon, didn't you think he said Mike Shanahan and his mother? He's like, yes. I'm like, who's Mike Shanahan's mother? Who's she coached for? But yeah, he ended up clarifying what he was saying. It was kind of funny.
It is funny.
Yeah. I don't remember what the question was. It didn't have anything to do with anything.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else we talked to. Avonte. We talked to N'Kobe. Just talked about how He's embracing the competition. He's enjoying it, brings out the best in everyone. You have to have that attitude.
Yeah, he's kind of in a weird spot. Nakobe. Like I wonder if there's part of him that's like, they're not going to give me a shot over this guy we thought was an edge rusher a few months ago.
Yeah. Who's on a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Who's never played this position. Yeah.
Well, he did play.
He did play it a little bit, but it wasn't his primary position. So, yeah, I think there's got to be. I mean, but he's handling it well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I had from availability today.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all we talked to.
Yeah. We mentioned like Zach. I wasn't there for Zach Bond. I was only there for a little bit of Kenny Gainwell. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Some questions?
Yeah.
If you guys want to send us a question, feel free to do that. It's eagleeye@nbcuni.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you can get that QR code. It's nice and fancy. It works pretty well. We'll start off here with Jeff. Hey, Reuben Dave. First, I want to give you all a shout out. The pod is one of my favorites, and I enjoy your written work too. I have 2 questions about the rookie class.
Thank you.
First, you both agreed that neither rookie receiver is likely to grab the number 3 spot. Rookie receivers often tend to come along later in the season. So do you see either of our guys potentially having a significant impact once we get to November and December? We'll answer that one first and we'll get to the next one.
I think it's unlikely. I just think it's – I mean, this coaching staff doesn't really play rookies anyway. And late-round rookies at that position, I just don't see it.
If one of them could.
If one of them could, I would say Wilson.
I think right now Wilson's a little ahead. He had a bad drop in individual today.
Yeah, he did.
But for the most part, like he's making some more plays than Anais Smith.
Yeah.
I did my first stock up, stock down. And I put Anais Smith in the stock down, which I take a lot of time to think about that, especially in these early practices. I don't want to like dump on a rookie, but I think he's had a little bit of some struggles.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second question here. I know we're only a few practices in, but have any of the rookies really stood out positively or negatively? I think Quignon has had some good moments. Jalix Hunt has flashed on occasion. I think I saw him get praised in special team drill too. We mentioned Trotter a little bit. The speed is showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't noticed much from Trevor Keegan one way or the other. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep an eye on those guys during
like the 2 linemen, Keegan and Dylan McMahon. Like,
yeah.
It's tough. I haven't seen like bad snaps from McMahon. That's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Unlike Brett Toth.
Jeez. Yep. From Paul, the next question. With the league always, in parentheses, post-lawsuit, trying to portray itself as ultra concerned with players' health, particularly head injuries and concussions, we see the players practicing wearing those oversized bobblehead helmets. They're called guardian caps. If they're so much better at protecting the players' heads, why aren't those bubble wrap monstrosities replacing normal helmets during actual games? They might be. It's actually legal this year to wear them. I don't know how many players are actually going to do it, but you can do it this year. And they're supposed to put like some kind of wrap over them so it looks like more like a real helmet. I don't think many players are going to wear it.
No. You know, who's really active in working with helmet safety is Zach Ertz's mom.
Mm-hmm.
She does a lot of stuff.
And there are a bunch of new helmets that they say are like greatly reducing the risk of concussions based on the NFL's research, which.
Well, that's great. Anything, gosh, I mean, some of the long-term problems that you keep hearing some players have years after retiring from post-concussion syndrome, it's horrible. So anything you do to make it safer, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm also anti-head injuries. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be I don't want to be on the wrong side of this, but like, I don't know. The guardian caps, I think there's a little danger in it in my eyes, because it's like, I don't want guys to feel like they're invincible. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm also an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. So
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Next question. This is Andy from Whitehall, PA. Yes. Saquon Barkley's hometown, he points out. Saw almost all of his high school games. This question might be more for Rube than Dave. You'll understand in a minute.
It must be a Lehigh question.
Close. Not Lehigh, actually a Morristown, New Jersey question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm sure you guys are aware of the next question interview with Drew Rosenhaus on the lawn of Terrell Owens' home in New Jersey during training camp of 2005. Although it was not funny at the time, I looking back, I find it hilarious. Can either of you talk about the craziness surrounding that interview if you were there? Maybe it's not as hilarious as AI's famous we talking about practice press conference, but this one was also classic, and no one really talks about it anymore.
Well, it was 19 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
By the way, do you know it was an Olympic gold medalist from Morristown, New Jersey, Al Laconi, at the 1924 Olympics, also in Paris. He ran the third leg on the gold medal U.S. 4x4 relay team.
Good quote.
Al Laconi, or 4x1. I wasn't there. Jeff Offord, the late great Jeff Offord, was there in Morristown that day covering that. So I was not there. But
what was like the buzz around? Where were you?
I was at Lehigh.
You were at Lehigh. So what was the
practice.
buzz at Lehigh like while that's going on?
Yeah, it was like, oh, now he's doing this. Now he's doing this.
Yeah.
It was just comical. We were just laughing. I mean,
because it's before like I think about what it would be like today with Twitter. Like it would be a circus.
Yeah.
It was already a circus,
Yeah.
but like in the age of like Twitter and social media, it would be like times 1,000 today.
can't even imagine. Yeah, it would have been fun. Social media was all over that, but it was. Did that really happen?
How were you finding out about it at Lehigh? Were the carrier pigeons bringing notes? It wasn't that long ago. I remember this.
2005.
Yeah.
I just think like I know Jeff Offord was calling me. We texted back then, right? He was probably texting
Yeah.
me and
Maybe. Yeah.
and he was just laughing at it. It was just comical. The guys who were there were having a blast.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
what
how often do you get to cover something like that?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, next one from Mark. I'm an avid follower of the pod and love it. The banter between you guys is terrific. Quick question as far as the wide receiver situation. Do you think the Eagles could swing a deal for Brandon Ayuk? Would it be financially possible? Could they possibly package one of their extra cornerbacks and land him as their third receiver, or is that too high in the sky?
Yeah. I mean, they just look at the money they just paid 2 wide receivers. They're not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, the issue there is money.
Yeah.
So, like, you could theoretically trade for him, but then you can't pay him.
Right. So not gonna happen.
Not going to happen. But I think a trade for a receiver still very much on the table.
A little bit lower profile.
Lower profile,
Lower
less money.
salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take less to get him. But
Yeah, I still think that's. I mean, they're talking up Paris Campbell, and we'll see how that goes. They'll give him every opportunity, but I still think they're going to go out and get somebody.
Yep.
But he's got to be, he's got to be better than Paris Campbell. So we'll see.
or at least more reliable.
More consistent.
Next question from Kay Headley. I thought Eli Ricks played well last year. What do you think his role, if any, will be on the roster this upcoming season?
Good question. I like Eli Ricks for an undrafted rookie. I mean, he's got good size. I thought he did some good things.
Earned playing time before Keely Ringo last year.
Yeah, he did. He can play in the slot. He can play outside, so he's got some value there. I think
He mixed in a little with the first team on Saturday. They were mixing a lot of guys in.
Yeah.
He got a little run.
Yeah, I mean, I think they like him. I think he'll be on the team.
It's tricky. It depends on how many corners they keep. It depends.
They're so deep,
They're very
and it
deep.
depends if they trade
If
somebody.
they trade somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it could go either way, him being on the roster. It would be a shame to cut him because I think I agree. Like, I think there's something there.
I do too. Yeah, I've always liked Ricks, and I mean, how many special team snaps did he play last year?
Oh, quite a few, I think.
Played a lot, right? He played 212. It's a lot. So that's more value there.
Now the problem is if he's fighting with Josh Jobe for a roster spot and they're prioritizing special teams, then that spot might go to Jobe.
Yeah, and I think Ricks is probably enough better than Jobe as a D-back. Jobe's probably a little better than Ricks as a special teamer,
Yeah.
but I think Rick's advantage defensively outweighs Jobe's advantage. But we'll see.
Potentially, but you don't know how they're putting the roster together.
True.
I mean, I think Jobe would help them more this year.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
You don't think so?
Possibly. Yeah. I don't know. And then there's like Maddox. Where does Maddox fit in all this?
Well, I think Maddox is on the roster. Whoa, really?
Probably. I think he probably is. I actually asked him about this, and
I think he's close to a lock.
I think he's probably close to a lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he talked. We did talk to him today as well, and he talked about all the steps he took to have a better chance of staying healthy this year, and talked about nutrition and sleep and exercise, just all the things he did. He said you can't control it 100%, but he said I think I did a lot of things to try to help my chances. So
okay, that's all you can do. He plays the game the way he plays the game. You can't take that away.
Yeah.
So.
I think you're right, because he can do so many things. If he's healthy, he can back up anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's really valuable.
Yeah.
Next question, or last question here from John. Hey, Dave and Rube, what are your thoughts on the Giants Hard Knocks series? Does it show the Giants embarrassing themselves on the Barkley situation? Did you watch any of it?
I haven't,
other than the
I
clips?
think just watching Giants games, you get to see the Giants embarrassing themselves. Except the last one.
It was tough to watch.
Yeah,
I don't think they came off great in it, especially with the Barkley stuff. I thought the show itself was really good. I thought it was a good idea for Hard Knocks to chronicle the offseason like that.
Yeah.
Because as cool as the training camp one is, a lot of storylines are kind of the same year after year. I think that's just the nature of what training camp is. So it was cool to get a fresh look at a different part of the schedule. After watching this one, I don't know how many teams are going to be willing to sign up and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and from what I understand, the team has right of first refusal over any exchange that Nick would love this, that has to do with competitive advantage. But if it's just something like, I can't believe we screwed this up, I can't believe they can't nix it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me.
Yeah, and the whole Saquon not knowing he was being recorded is kind of skeevy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not illegal.
Yeah.
But skeevy.
Yeah. I would agree.
Okay. All right, that's all. A reminder, that's eagleeye@nbcuni.com if you want to send us a question. And if you really got some questions and you want to hear them live, come out on Thursday, 4:45 in the afternoon. The sun will just be setting or starting to maybe set, hopefully.
4:45?
Yeah, I forgot what time of year it is. Not quite. But come out and hang out at the Pepsi Plaza. The sun will eventually set as they practice. Yeah, I don't know what time of year it is. It's December in my mind.
Dave. It's fun, though. We'll hope to see you out there.
Yep. Should be a good time. Anything else before we wrap this up?
No, it's mid-afternoon, so I'm going to go see if the sun's setting out there. And
I'll let you do the reads from now on. How about that? If you like the podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button, subscribe there as well. That's it. We're good. Talk tomorrow. Pats come on tomorrow. We can't wait. Back with the podcast after that. For Rube, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan.